Brugman and I'm a 470 sailor campaigning for Tokyo 2020. Thank you for joining us for the final installment of our video series using the U.S. Sailing Beach curriculum. Today we will be exploring Model 5, Water Quality. We will discuss what's in the water where we go sailing and other components of the aquatic sailing environment. If you're a youth sailor or student watching us from home, please follow along and complete the activity at the end. Program directors take notes on how you can use this for your programs once we're back on the water. To learn more about water quality, watch this video exploring what's in our water where we go sailing and why it's so important.
What we're going to do for this activity is we're going to figure out what is water. So I'm going to kind of play the part right now and help identify by doing this activity of drawing. So what I'm going to do is get our nice baseline right here. We're going to start with water. So what's with water? What are some things that we do with water? Yeah.
Water is important to me because I like going sailing and I need to go kayaking.
Because more than 70% of the earth is made out of water and we get all of our food and liquids from it. And that's how we stay alive.
We use it to survive, so we drink it. Oh, cool. So out here I have my nice little reusable water bottle. Awesome, that keeps me hydrated so I can do my activity and stay alive.
It's important to see animals.
So it's home to many animals. So, of course, we've got to have a fish. What other types? Shark. Lots of minnows. What about more in the sky up here? What's some other stuff with the sky? So we have some birds that are flying around, but make sure you're thinking about water. Clouds, what do you mean by clouds? How does that connect to water? Okay, so there's water vapor going up. This is all really good stuff. So is water important to us? It's very essential to life. So here are some variables that we can test out in the water. We can test kind of the chemicals that are in it, the suspended particles, maybe some stuff from runoff or the marine debris that are suspended there.
Students are more invested in what they're learning when they can make a real-life connection to where they live and their local body of water, and that they themselves can have a direct impact on the health of it.
Areas with strong currents will move marine debris out into the ocean and keep the local water quality clean. Areas that do not have much water movement or big currents tend to have poor water quality and an easy buildup on debris onshore and in animal habitats. In addition to changing the water quality in local venues, tides and currents can affect how sailors approach a race course. Next, we'll cover racing effectively in areas with currents. I grew up sailing in the Mediterranean, where tides and currents aren't always an important factor. As I started racing in opties in the New England area in the summers, I had to learn all about tides and current as it became a more important factor while racing. What is current? Current is the movement of water from one place to another. As the water flows, it will carry everything in it along for the ride. If you're sailing in the same direction as current, you will get a nice push. Your speed over ground will be your speed through water plus the speed of the current. On the other hand, if you're sailing against the current, you will be pushed back. Your speed over ground will be your speed through water minus the speed of the current. It is important to know what direction the current is flowing, just so you can use it in your advantage. Offshore currents tend to move at a single direction at a fairly constant rate, like the Gulf Stream. Inshore currents are typically caused by draining rivers or tidal waters that are ebbing and flooding. Let's talk a little bit about current, tide, and landscape. Let's begin with a few simple concepts. Flood tide. That's when the sea level rises over the course of several hours. High tide is when the sea level has reached its maximum point. Ebb tide is when the sea level lowers over the course of several hours. And low tide is when the sea level has reached its lowest point. Slack water is in the time between the two currents, and it's more or less the time where there will be no current at all. It is really important to check the tide tables to know what the current will be doing during the day and how that will affect your sailing. As well as checking the tide tables, we will have to check the charts to understand the geographical composition of the area we'll be sailing. Why is that so important? Is because water doesn't travel the same way depending on the depth of the area. we have to understand that water travels faster in deeper areas. So if we have an area and we know that current is traveling down this way, and we have a shallower area over here, we know that current will be less strong. It's what we call current relief. On the other hand, if we know that this area is much deeper, we have to understand that current will be much stronger. As well as that, if the geographical landscape has some kind of bend, we also have to understand that current will travel along the bend of the landscape. So that's why it's so important to check the charts to understand the area we'll be sailing and how the current will react in different places. As well as that, we can also talk to the people who are from that area and get some local knowledge to understand better how the current will be and how it will affect in different areas. Racing with current. The slower the boat speed because of wind intensity, the bigger factor current will be. While racing, we have to take into account in these different areas on how current and its directions will affect us. Let's begin with starts. It is crucial to understand what the current is doing at the start to know if it's pushing us over the line, if it's pushing us away from the line, or if it's pushing us towards the race committee or towards the pin. It is also important to understand the intensity of the current so we are ready at the start at go. A fun fact is that the 2012 college nationals at the Columbia River Gorge, the current was so strong, pushing you over the line, that people were starting downwind and turning their boats at go to make sure that they weren't over. Approaching the mark is always a very decisive moment of racing. Tacking short of ley line or overshooting the ley line can really mess up our race. That's why we'll have to take into account the current and what that does to our ley lines. Let's say this is our top mark and this is the wind direction. A regular ley line would be this one. But if we have current also coming down this direction, if we tack at ley line, the current is going to push us down, pushing us all the way here and making us short of ley line. On the other hand, if we have current coming up this direction, if we tack at ley line, we'll be pushed up, overshooting the ley line and sailing an extra distance. That is why, when we are approaching a ley line, we need to understand what the current is doing and how that is affecting our ley lines. Sometimes current is a factor that we want to take into account when choosing the favorite side of the course. For instance, if each side of the course has different depth levels, the current will travel at different speed depending on the area of the race course. So let's say this is our race course. This is our top mark, our wind direction, and our current direction, and we know that the right side is shallower and the left side is deeper. So if we're sailing against the current, we'll want to try to find some current relief, so we'll choose the right side. On the other hand, when we're sailing with the current, we'll want to sail in deeper water where the current is stronger and will push us faster down to the bottom mark. As we saw earlier, when the breeze enters the ocean, not only it can harm the ocean life, but it can also create obstacles for us sailors. After big storms, we can find all sorts of trash that can get in the way while sailing. In 2016, I sailed the 470 World Championship in Argentina, Mar del Plata. Earlier that month, there had been big floods in the Argentinian coast. This caused heavy streams of water dragging down millions of camalotes. Camalotes are big islands of plants that grow near the river. Suddenly, the 470 World Championship venue was full of those big islands. If you would try to go through one of them, you would get so stuck you needed help from a coach boat to get out of them. Because of this, the tactics during that event completely shifted, being number one priority avoiding those big islands, as well as constantly checking for any plant getting stuck in your foils. If that experience has taught me anything, is that if your boat stops, check your foils. because anything can get stuck at them, from plastic bags to seaweed to any kind of debris that we can find. Sailors and students at home, you can complete the Model 5 worksheet from the U.S. Sailing REACH student logbook with the link found in the video description. Thank you all for joining us today, and don't forget you can also purchase both REACH model books with complete lesson plans and the student logbook with student worksheets on the U.S. Sailing website. Special discount applied. Thank you so much.